of our best of three. Let's hop into the draft. Let's have a look at these pick and bans. And straight off the bat, we can see the first ban on side of Finesse actually is going to be a Decker. Solid removal. We've been seeing this time and time again. One of the stronger supports, just the capabilities of the containment field and the stasis bomb make her a good all-rounded support, and that's why you see us banned. And on the side of Reborn's ban, we see the Morigesh, which now it's interesting because we've been seeing Suki play Morigesh or Revenant.
Yep.
And I'm going to be interested to see if Reborn tried to shake that up and force Suki onto something else, potentially for this game. Try to force him onto a third pick that we might not have seen him in playing throughout the tournament.
If they have first pick and they pick Revenant, to me, that's just Reborn going, okay, pick Twin Blast. To deny that double carry of Twin Blast and Revenant over to the side of Team Finesse. I think that would make the most sense, unless they know how to deal with that double carry composition. They very intentionally, they're the ones who banned out Twin Blast last game. They knew that was a very concerted effort to make sure that Team Finesse doesn't get their hands on that composition. There it is. The first pick Revenant. So if Reborn don't pick Twin Blast in this phase right here, I have to imagine that Team Finesse is going to snap up a Twin Blast plus whichever priority hero they have after that.
It's really interesting to see what Reborn pick up. I do suspect it'll be the Twin Blast. It is the Twin Blast now that we can see. So it's the Twin Blast and the Muriel. So they're snacking up the support. Instead of going for the Narbash, they're going for the Muriel. Solid shields we've been seeing Muriel provide, especially with the change with how shields now scale with your armor values. Which is why you also see support mid laners as well, potentially grabbing a bit more armor. So the shields now become a lot more effective with Honor of the Pure as well, providing extra shields. Also Feng Mao with his shield as well, conversion shield, and just in general, all the shields along with Muriel combined have been slowly creeping back into a lot of the games, and it's going to be interesting to see what Finesse do now with their composition, that it's not anything we've seen throughout today's games.
Another hero who pairs with Muriel very well, which we've seen already this weekend, was Sereth, too. Sereth and Muriel also have quite a bit of synergy, and Feng Mao and Sereth are heroes that Reflect is very comfortable on. Reflect is one of the very few players who actually run Sereth in the offlane. It's a little bit of debate inside of the community right now as to like what role does she actually fill. As of right now, for the most part, when we do see her, it is over in that offlane. Grux and Narbash, the Bruiser brothers, are on the field, and we're going to see, I think, Chill Phil for once not picking up the reins of Rog, but it looks like he'll be on Grux instead.
Yeah, it's just solid 2 picks from Finesse, but we're going to have to see what Suki is actually going to be playing, and that's why I'm going to be the most interested out of this draft. And Reborn, again, solid picks. Sevrog with Howitzer. Solid jungle with a solid mid laner. There's not much to really say. Good combination between the skills across the current roster. So the Mind with the Subjugate is a nice combo, along with grenades coming out from Twin Blast. So overall, looking like a solid composition from Reborn.
They have their jungler, they have their support, and they have their safe lane carry on the Revenant. Last 2 pickups here, they are looking for a offlaner as well as for the mid laner. Bellico's available, and I think that would make a good amount of sense here. Bellico deals very well, obviously draining the mana of Muriel, mitigating her ability to get cycles of those shields off, as well as having a favorable matchup in the mid lane against the Howitzer. Other mid laners that I think were buffed recently, and if you think about it, actually might have a little bit of value. As of right now, Reborn doesn't have many consistent ways of CC, and Gideon is on the table to be picked up. But instead, it's going to be Gadget. You take away Twin Blast. Do you think we're not going to run double carry? Are you kidding? We're Team Finesse. The Murdoch being picked up here. So that means that's going to be an off-lane Revenant and a safe lane Murdoch. Double carry is here once again for Team Finesse, ladies and gentlemen.
They've gone for it yet again. It's going to be subject to see how powerful this is, because we've been talking about the burst potential coming out from the Twin Blast Revenant, which is kind of the main reason you take it. And now Reborn pick up the Sereth as well. So essentially a pseudo double carry role. It's going to be interesting to see how well Sereth here can actually deal with the double carry of Finesse, because Sereth can actually duel them incredibly well, especially if she can get a couple of points ahead maybe in the early game, or just not be punished in the early stages of the game. She can actually just stomp over Murdoch incredibly well. Murdoch really struggles to deal with
big time
a Sereth who's actually gone far ahead in the early stages of the game.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's your draft, game number 2, Reborn. I don't think. I mean, it's the last team, to my recollection, and I may be wrong about this, that was able to beat Reborn in the finals was Team Oxygen, North America, back when they were Team NA and Team EU. But they're not here. This is Team Finesse's moment to make a stake, and with the exhibition qualifiers looming 2 weekends now for North America, it will set the stage. Reborn, though, we're still absolutely favorites going into this, but Team Finesse will make a resounding statement that will reverberate across all of North America, that they are going to be contenders as well. But let's get into this game, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here. Game number 2 underway. And we're so glad to have you. Let's introduce the team. Strafe on the safe lane, Murdoch. Suki on the off lane, Revenant. It's double carry once again for Team Finesse. Chill Phil picking up Grux in that wonderful ruby red armor. Proficiency on Gadget. Lucer again on the Narbash. Talking about Lucer real quick, he played a really good game on Narbash. He was getting 2-3-man crash bang booms consistently last game.
He did incredibly well, and he's been given it yet again. But before we can talk about that a little bit more, let's introduce the red side here on Team Reborn. So you have Nadosic on the Twin Blast, Reflect on the Seraph, J. Leo on the Seraph, Solo Nazgul on the Severog, Solo Nazgul on the Howitzer, and Master Splinter on that Muriel.
Severog Seraph, totally understandable, man. Don't worry, everyone in Twitch chat is perfect and never would have gotten that wrong. We love you guys. Thank you so much. So I feel like there's an opportunity here for Team Finesse to... I mean, Seraph is not the easiest offlaner to punish. She can dodge certain abilities with Heaven's Fury. Obviously, she can use Ascend to get out of a sticky situation. She also has an ability to snipe gold buffs with Ascend, going up and down from the low ground. But she is susceptible to where if you freeze the lane, where she can either get starved for farm, which we saw Reflect before when they had their first series of the day. She was starved pretty early on, or if they just instead relegate Chill Phil to putting a lot of priority in that area, push down the tower, and try to just outright kill her. Nonetheless, we'll have to see what the game plan is here for Team Finesse, if that's the route they want to go with, or instead, the other side of the field is ensuring Suki's farm, which would maybe the more conservative, reliable play, but not yield as much, maybe not quite as much if they were able to really bully Reflect out of the Seraph.
Yeah, you also know that Suki is going to be a prime target, so even if you go to help him, it might end up being a 3v2 scenario because of how much of a target he can be as a carry in the offlane. So again, it's also risky for the junglers to give Suki attention all the time without knowing exactly where Chillphil, without knowing exactly where J. Leo is going to be and where Chillphil is at that point in the game.
You already saw very early Lucer, and he's doing it right now. He's just running at Reflect. He's like, come at me. And he's just, don't mind Narbash 1v1 a Seraph. Assassin Bash is a thing, I hope. It was on Legacy. You get back on Legacy, man, Radiant Mantle in the blue lane. With Narbash, you could 1v1 anyway, man. It was so good. And all those days are over.
It's just the power of the Thunk, to be honest, in that lane. And level 1 Thunk can actually, as we saw there, put a lot of damage onto Reflect. It forces him to not be able to stay in lane, not be able to gain the levels that he needs and that he's trying to get. He's trying to steal this gold buff, and he does get it. So he does manage to steal the gold away from Strafe, which is going to give him a little bit of CXP, which he's been needing. But again, levels is what Reflex is really hoping for in this offlane, and that is not really going to be the case for him anytime soon.
Having that level 4 Chastise at level 8 for Seraph is important for 2 reasons. A, it's your snare. It lowers the cooldown, so that way you can cycle it up more often and ensure that you have people within your distance to hit him in the face with the mace. But also, at the same time, it's also a big source of damage, too, early on, the ability damage that comes out from that at level 8 with that level 4 Chastise. So that's where a big source of her damage comes in. It transitions over to her auto attacks a little bit later, especially when she's in her demonic form. But we're going to have to see how this goes. I think a lot is going to be riding on Reflect on this Seraph, quite a bit. It's a double range carry versus a melee carry and range carry. And you can see Reflect definitely struggling to find some farm. But on the other side of the field, Suki is also on the struggle bus. Almost gets taken out, actually. So right now, the offlaners on each side of the field are just pretty much starved at this point. And I think both the teams are going to be happy with that. judging by the implications of either one of those, either winning their lane or getting a moderate amount of farm.
Yeah, and also if we look at the mid lane, Proficiency is actually pushing out Nazgul right now. Has been putting down a lot of damage, making Nazgul's life a little bit tricky. He's forced to use the last of his pots, and he's also got the minion wave under his tower, and he's taking quite a bit of damage. It allows Proficiency to recall, set up, and get all his mana back and spend his points, whereas Nazgul's going to be really late for the 5-minute mark with a River Bust spawn.
An enemy tower is under attack.
Offlane tower, down to 1/3 HP. Seraph doesn't have the best wave clear in the world, but again, neither does Revenant. We'll see what Team Reborn is going to decide to do in regards to pushing down the offlane tower of Suki. I feel like pushing down this tower really doesn't do as much as pushing down the tower against Reflect does. Just obviously they might want to do that if they want to contend over the Raptors at the 10-minute mark, but there's always that silver lining of the offlane tower going down and actually the offlaner feeling a little bit safer in regards towards being closer to the tier 2 tower. But at the same time, you can work around that by relegating your jungler or your mid laner, maybe a purple buff or something along those lines, so you can put a lot of emphasis on the offlaners. And I think just so much of this game is riding on both of these teams' offlaners. And that's why I keep talking about this. I think mid lane, I mean, it's just going to be mid lane. You're going to have your junglers rotating on every odd minute. It's just coming down to who's going to clear these towers and who's going to get more farm, Reflect or Suki.
We already see Reflex Tower going down 5 minutes in, whereas Suki's been managing to hold on to it a little bit more. The range ability, you can hit minions from far away, whereas Reflex doesn't really have that luxury of hitting minions from a distance. He has to go up and close and personal, at which point Loser instantly will jump onto him and make his life a misery. And again, looking straight off the bat, creep skill scores incredibly close. 100 to 97. Points are essentially even across the board. Nazgul and Proficiency both at 9. J Leo on 8, Chillfill on 8, Nada on 10, Strafe on 10. You really can't get any closer than this 6 minutes.
Yep.
Their builds also are nearly identical, where we see wards are coming out along with a couple of jungle items. Chillfill electing to go for the Sage Siphon on Grux. It gives him a little bit of health, as well as power, a little bit of health, help in the early stages of clear, whereas J Leo went for the Oasis Siphon and grabbed an early ward.
That tower falling, exactly what we expected to happen is going down. Reflect is farming down the creep at the tier 2 tower. Rotating over, there's a purple buff there, but Lucera spotted it out. Reborn knows about it because of the ward sitting there right now, but not sure who actually picked that up. I imagine it was just picked up to D ward is the case.
Yeah, it is, and you can see this is incredibly strong aggression coming out here from Finesse. They're pushing all the way up to this tier 2 because they've recognized that there might be a J Leo on the other side of the map, so we're going to be fairly safe here. We can push and try to get farm and also make it a lot harder, more difficult for Reflect. They can also go into the jungle here and deny a couple of resources here from Reflect, make his life a little bit more tricky, where when the lane is pushed away from him, he's going to have less minions now to take from the jungle.
Lucera and Strafe. Got to be careful. Nazgul's coming around the corner, but of course Chillfill was able to give him the vision that was happening. So they're trying to get out of there, but the speed boost is down. Actually, the the speed boost from Master Splinter was thrown at Reflect. Wasn't going to be there, as Reflect was saying, I am not going over there. But with all 5 team members of Reborn surrounding this area, as that's very early rotation to this side of the map. I mean, even Nadosic is here, but that's more indicative that they're doing the good old lane swap as they were able to pick up that off lane tower. And now it's going to be Sereth versus Suki, at least for now. And I wonder how that matchup is... I mean, if Suki gets an advantage, I mean, Reflect can just use the invulnerability of Heaven's Fury to negate Obliterate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Reflect has a number of ways to dodge the Obliterate. Yeah. Specifically, he's going to try and use the Heaven's Fury, as you mentioned, as the main one. You can hear the Obliterate coming out. It's a fairly sort of telegraphed ability, so you can do Heaven's Fury even if you just take like 1 tick of the Obliterate. You can use it and you'll be fine. Now again, it's the 9-minute mark. It's 1 minute until Raptors spawn, and we have yet to actually see sort of a major fight. No kills on the board right now. Farming is slightly in the lead of Finesse by about 8 to 9 minions, but that's it. Like that's the extent of the lead right now. It's a couple more here, towers as well taken, but again, really close in points. Strafe 13 points, has actually got one completed item. He's going to get a second completed item when he backs as well and get that bonus. All in all, looking really close here for both sides. It's going to be a matter of who can get, and again, the vision control, as we can see, on the side of Finesse is actually far superior. They've got more aggressive wards in comparison to Reborn. They've got wards around the Raptor Pit and the river around Raptor Pit, which is actually going to prove crucial here as they spawn.
You can tell just by the positioning of Reborn on the map that they're going to be rotating over there immediately. That's what they're going to do. Team Finesse are aware. I'm not sure if they're in any situation to defend with Suki being all across the other side of the field. He's now starting to book himself over there. Strafe in the mid lane, getting some farm. And yeah, they're just going to be able to clean this up. Slow response, lethargic response from Team Finesse. I mean, Nadosic is going to be getting that extra. Actually, it looks like Reflect picked up one of the Raptors there, which I don't mind that decision at all. And they're going to get all three.
They need him to get a couple more extra points because he's also up against another double carry comp, and he really can't be falling behind.
Yes.
He wants to actually be ahead of Suki. He wants to be able to be a threat. So Suki has to be a little bit wary. He has to make sure that he doesn't get the Seraphs just jumping onto him and using the Heaven's Fury, I think it is, just to dodge the Obliterate, and then after that, it's pretty much a really one-sided fight.
Tesla Dome used from Proficiency just to clear out this creep wave as he possibly could. As NATO and Master Splinter were putting a lot of pressure into that. Keeping that tower alive is pretty important here because there's always that timing where Tier 1 towers fall, and the longer you're able to keep those alive means the timing push into your Tier 2 towers is that much more delayed. Especially on that side of the map as well, that is the side that the Raptors are on, so it's even more crucial for Team Finesse and Proficiency to defend that tower, to make sure that they're given the next Raptor respawn or one here in the future, that they don't have to have that wave constantly threatening down their base. They can swiftly respond over there. Suki was looking for an Obliterate, but Nazgul smashed that E button. Leo Grande and is just sort of hanging out. Scar, Obliterate, a lot of damage, down to about 1/3 HP. Reflect actually did not get that buff. He uses the Heaven's Fury and vulnerability on cooldown. It's up to Master Splinter to keep Reflect alive at this point in time, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to strafe. With the big auto attack, Lowering Over the Law was queued up. Not going to use it. Nazgul's low enough. He's backing. If they can get vision in Nazgul, Strafe can line up the laser and potentially get a kill. Actually, he's healing up pretty good there, so he'll be all right. But Reflect gets taken out. They tried to save him. The Reversal of Fortune used, but just simply too much burst damage, too much auto attack from Suki and Strafe.
Again, the sort of composition we've been seeing, both these teams have a sort of similar playstyle in that they don't overextend when they take a kill. They'll take an objective, like now they got a pick on Reflect, they'll take the tier 1, they'll probably back out. As I say that, they back out, and that's going to be it. That's the advantage they're going to be incredibly content with. You can really see NATO. You can really see NATO 6 actually 20 points is actually surprisingly ahead, but again, Strafe is actually at 18, and that is just the pure difference of the Raptors that Reborn managed to get a bit earlier. But again, double carry on the board is going to be something, is going to be an issue at some point in the game. If Strafe can actually get a lead, or if Suki can get a bit of a lead or a couple of kills, this game will completely change in favor of Finesse, purely because of the fact that double carries with range can actually just get a little bit of poke out onto things like J. Leo from a distance onto Reflect before they get into the fight.
And this is the first time we've seen Team Finesse run this variation. Revenant was always the one in the off lane, and it was generally Twin Blast we've seen, but now Strafe on the Murdoch here. We've seen Murdoch several times, ran twice by Team Oxygen, with Imsco picking up the reins, and now Strafe here in game number 2 of the finals, having a pretty successful time thus far. He's got 1 kill to his name, was able to farm efficiently inside of his safe lane, and of course you always have that long arm of the law used, the global presence coming out here. It's used much less as like a global threat as it is as just picking off stragglers of a team fight. That seems to be the most common usage that we've seen out of it. The last time Murdoch was very relevant inside of the scene, it was quite the opposite. Generally, it was sort of a just get someone low enough and I can laser him down. But back in that day and age, the ultimate did a significant amount more damage. But that's the big strength he brings to the table, is you think you're okay, you got away from a team fight, you're backing, then all of a sudden, boop, you're off the field, get some kills over to Murdoch. And now we see an engagement here. Colossal Blow has been used over on Chillfill. He's very low, but they're trying to do everything they can. Onto the pure end, quenching the scales. Is he going to be able to get away? It looks like he will. Leo Grande, on the other hand, is taken out by Suki. Obliterate. Strafe uses the laser, but Reflect's going to sidestep it. Does he have an Ascend? He has a Reversal of Fortune. Vecron coming in. R2000 Rocket's going to hit Suki pretty hard. The Reckoning has been used. Over onto... actually, it's on Master Splinter of all people. I don't think that's the target he was looking for. I'm pretty sure that Reckoning was meant to go on to Reflect. They still, regardless of that small misplay coming out of Suki, they get the kill on the J. Leo Grande. Raptors are spawning here in about 5 to 10 seconds, and they're just going to fall back, farm their lanes, and just be content about that. That seems to be the trend here, is these fights just go a little bit of favor in one team towards the other, and then it's around the 20-25 minute mark is really when we start to see one team break out an advantage.
It's really difficult, even with just like a couple point lead, to actually go for big plays, because a couple points here might be the difference between having still just a incomplete item, or 2 points of dead points that you can't spend, where you're forced to just not get anything specific. So a couple lead in this game at the moment is not that big of a deal. Like, you'll see Strafe hovering 1 point that he might not be able to spend, and you'll see Nado the same sort of scenario, and it ends up being a lot closer than it looks because of things like that.
Let's take a look at Reflect. 18 card points. The comparative to the offlaner of Suki on Revenant, 21. 18 card points and only 17 in Sevarog as well. Generally, you would want to see a little bit more card experience, not only on Reflect, but the one I'm more surprised about, Jims, is J. Leo Grande's farm being considerably low. I mean, Chill Phil's at 20, but Sevarog's ability to farm is a little bit quicker inside of the jungle. He's just got a little bit more flash farm capability.
It's the difference in farming. It's about 10 creeps. Also 2 assists going over to Chill Phil gives him a little bit more, which will explain the couple point difference there. And again, it might have been the scenario where Chill Phil might have taken a Raptor with a bleed by accident, but we haven't really been tracking.
Oh, I guarantee you, knowing Chill Phil, that was no accident. I assure you. I assure you, that was not an accident.
So that could also be a potential possibility as to why he's at the 20 points. Also, Strafe at 26, whereas Nado's at 24, and this is the point of the game where the carries have an advantage. Suki's ahead of Reflex, a couple of points. Has managed to get an extra completed item on the board, which is actually pretty big here, whereas you see Reflect here is actually slightly behind.
They need to get some card experience over to Reflect, whether it's creating space to allow him to farm in his respective lane. I'll try to get him over to those Raptors. Right now, those Raptors aren't even available. Leo Grande uses the Colossal Blow. Chill Phil's in a pretty awkward situation here. He's able to charge himself away to safety. Make it rain being used. Both of the carries now having to split across the field. Oh, Dado goes over. He dives to the left, and he pops off, and is able to pick him up. Now he's looking for proficiency. Reflect, though, was deep into enemy territory, and he gets hit by the laser. Strafe is just sitting there right outside the Tier 1 tower. He's just picking up kills left and right. Suki, if he has no Reckoning, he's in a lot of trouble. Maybe he can take down Nazgul. The Obliterate's going to be enough. He uses the Reckoning, but Leo Grande swings the hammer right in front of his face. And Reborn come swinging. The only straggler left over is going to be Strafe. He was able to pick up a kill, but that's a decisive victory for Reborn.
4 for 2 on the board. It evens up the kills overall, so it's 4 for 4. Also gives Nato... he doesn't actually pick up any of the kills in the end, I don't think, unless that is just a...
He got 2. Oh, I think it's the UI bug. I'm pretty sure he got 2 kills.
Yeah, that's why he's 0-0 on my board right now. Hasn't actually managed to do it, and we do. Yeah, he's 2-0-2, and he's actually he's actually sitting at 30 points, and
there you go.
That fight has given him a really big boost in power, which is exactly what Reborn have needed. They were a little bit behind up until that point in the game, and now it's interesting to see as well if they can keep it, because that fight was incredibly strong, but you know it's looking okay.
I'm still concerned about Reflect's farm, though. He got a little bit out of that, but he went down in that engagement really without getting much value out of it. He was impactful. He did a lot of damage in the back lane there, but he wasn't able to actually pick up any kills. So, I mean, if Team Finesse is putting so much pressure onto the map that Reflect has to fall back from his lane to show up to a team fight, and he just gets taken out in that team fight without getting much value out of it, he's slowly going to slip into obscurity as far as what he actually brings to the table. He's starting to build a little bit of crit, but as of right now, all he has is a 6-point Adamant Edge, a 6-point Ward, and a 6-point Whirlwind Wand. That Spear of the Rift Hunter is going to give him a little bit of crit, but he's still a long ways off from that big DPS machine that we expect out of a Seraph, approaching that 25 to 30 minute mark. The lifesteal, and with the crit bonus as well. Chillfield pulls in Leo Grande into the Make It Rain. He's going to be okay. Or rather, Chillfield, who's the one who's going to take up the Make It Rain. And he's going to go down. Lucer again with these 3-man Crash Bang Booms and knocks him up. Nado goes a pop, 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 and gets a kill. But it's just Chillfield. So 2 down already on the side of Reborn. This is a deep dive for Team Finesse. The shield is there, but unfortunately Obliterate does a little bit too much damage. Strafe lines up the laser, but unfortunately a little bit off the mark still. 2 for 3 exchange, even though Team Finesse lost that last engagement in pretty decisive manner. They come back swinging. They pick up 3-2. The only thing I can say is that at least the 2 carries didn't get taken out. Both Reflect and Nado are alive, but the same is true on the other side of the field.
It's the front lining of either team. It's whoever falls down first is essentially who's been winning the fights. And at the moment, J. Ligo isn't able to survive the onslaught coming from Suki and Strafe. There's so much damage coming out. And even with the Quenching Scales, even with Honor of the Pure and Muriel Shields, it's just not enough. And that's kind of been these fights. It's which front line can soak up the most amount of damage before these double carries that we're seeing from either side. Of course, Reflect being sort of a melee carry, how much damage they can output before that.
Level 7 Master Splinter, level 7 Lucer. So as you would expect, the supports are pretty starved for levels. But as far as the relevancy of Muriel as the game goes on, not as bad as she doesn't fall off as bad as she used to be with those changes that we received with how shields now scale with armor and health. But I still feel like when it comes down to a later mid-stage game, or even just talking straight late game, that I like Narbash a little bit more. He brings that CC to the table, and that's really a big difference maker in fights, especially if you're able to catch someone out and isolate them with a thunk immediately into a Crash Bang Boom. I mean, it's just as far as what they bring to the table here. Now, with that being said, Reborn has been playing around Muriel's kit very, very well. And it looks like they're trying to take down Lucer, immediately force out the Honor of the Pure. Both of the ultimates of the mid laners, Make It Rain and Tesla Dome, put on cooldown. Reckoning used by Suki, and he's got to get himself the hell out of there. He's in a lot of trouble. Reflect is sitting there. Oh, no. He gets destroyed. Strafe gets a big crit on him, and as well as the Sticky Mine, he just gets absolutely decimated. The reversal of fortune that came out was not enough to deal with the auto attack damage double carry. Suki is still somehow alive. Master Splinter is the one who's going to get the kill. Strafe blinks forward, looks for it, but misses his shot. And now he's in a bad position. Nado, one auto attack. He gets taken down. That team fight was looking great for Team Finesse, but they got sloppy. They got overconfident. And Reborn's going to punish him here. Looking for more solo Nazgul, not much mana. I don't think they're going to be able to pick up this kill on proficiency, but they're still going to be happy about that. Both carries went down. Nado got some kills, and they're going to be able to keep their heads up high after that most recent engagement.
Again, another 3-for-2 fight, but it is in favor of Reborn this time around, as you mentioned. Again, you can't really get closer scoreboard-wise than this. It's 9-9, 26-20, so a couple of assist difference. And the points as well, Strafe is a little bit behind Nado, but I believe Suki's ahead of Reflex. So overall, I think they equalize out in sort of the differences in points they have there as well, with the double carries. And Chillfield's sitting at 25, Jaylee is at 25, Proficiency at 26, and Nazgul has a slight lead on 29 with a couple of extra points, which is actually going to be fairly important to look at, especially because he has now Ash of the Witch on how it's extra slow on abilities that makes it easier to chase down these carries of Finesse.
Raptors just spawned. The vision battle right now is favoring Reborn. But Proficiency's going to try to do what he can there. He picks up one of the wards, but they still have wards surrounding that entire area. So if any one of these teams decides to go for the Raptors, both of them are going to be well aware of it. We're starting to encroach on that territory where teams start to transition away from priority of Raptors over to the Orb Prime. 25 minutes in, the carries are hitting about 40 card points. Suki, generally, Suki has been not too far behind of Strafe when it comes to card experience. This time around, though, it's 34 to 38. So it is a 4-point discrepancy, but Suki, it's not like he's at a card experience deficit to where he's not relevant. His Obliterate is still doing a devastating amount of damage. He's still able to isolate targets and take them out of the fight with Reckoning and ideally kill them by the time he comes out of the Reckoning, but at very minimal, at least just take someone out of the equation for a short period of time. Compare that over to Sereth here. Reflect. He's been starved, but I think he's maintaining his composure. Even though he's 1-3-3, he's still falling to his lane, and he's still making sure he's retaining some semblance of farm. 31, considering the game that he's had thus far, I think is pretty admirable, all things considered.
One thing we don't actually talk about that often throughout the game is ward placement. So if we just look at the way teams place their wards, it genuinely tends to go at entrances or exits to jungles or parts of the jungle where multiple paths can happen, i.e. just in front of that green buff, you can cover 3 or 4 paths. And with that information, you know exactly what side of the jungle they're on. You don't need to have a ward sort of deep inside. If you know when they're entering or exiting a certain area of the jungle, you know where they are. And you can predict roughly where they are on the map as well, based on that movement, unless they sort of sneak around to the weak side, in which case you have an entrance ward there.
Solo Nazgul's have to use that ultimate very early on, but they're all inside of the strafe. Is just getting absolutely torn apart. NATO gets the kill, but it's Solo Nazgul who did the damage to secure the kill for the carry player. Chillfield's looking for the kill. He is actually, I think, the green buff popped on him. Either way, Solo Nazgul gets taken out. A carry for the mid laner right now. Reversal of Fortune over onto J. Leo Grande as he is currently losing that duo. Reckoning used immediately, but Muriel can still shield him. Leo Grande is going to be able to get away. Reckoning on cooldown, but more importantly, Suki wasn't going to get isolated and taken out. It actually was the green buff exploding on Chillfield that secured the kill onto Solo Nazgul. Pretty even exchange right there. Howitzer may not be a carry, but he does a big amount of burst damage, and with both of them being taken out of the equation, I think these teams are just going to fall back at this stage.
Yeah, it's another 1-for-1 trade where even though a lot of cooldowns were expended, you can see the Make It Rain, Reversal of Fortune, all of them are being used, and in the end of the day, none of them are really falling down because of the healing that's coming across, because of things like Thermobond on J. Leo gives him extra regen if he gets CC because of Quenching Scales, because of Honor of the Pure. And recent change to Stasis Gem meant there's a lot of sort of invulnerable heroes coming out. So Suki's grabbed it, Proficiency, and who's there, all have Stasis Gem, which make it incredibly difficult to deal with.
Strafe has picked up that Hemorrhage. I think that's a rather recent pickup, not entirely sure, but that's something he's picked up on Twin Blast every single time, and now obviously it seems like his Murdoch deck is literally identical to his Twin Blast deck, which makes sense. They both share that Fury affinity, and they both have access to very similar cards. Unfortunately, Strafe isn't picking up any burst engines, but maybe that's for a different meta, different time. Maybe after the card rehaul, who knows, this stage of the game. Mid lane is just Proficiency and Suki hanging out. Reborn is just putting a lot of people around the mid lane, maybe just trying to catch someone out. As of right now, Raptors aren't going to be up, and the the Vision War is continually going underway here. It's sort of the mini game that you play in between engagements is just warding and dewarding. Like that's really what teams are always trying to do, is just make sure they retain the vision control, because then from there, they are the ones who are making the more informed decision, and off the heels of that can make plays or prime, Raptor, tower pushes, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a game of information control. Who can control as much of it or deny as much information from the opposing side, and vision is one of the key factors around it. If you can deny vision around prime or around sort of the river around it, you can then go for it and force a play, as we've seen before, where they might bait around prime and try to get a fight, or might hide their numbers on the map as well. It's kind of interesting because you can hide where someone is. Let's say they show on one side, then they move off the map. Their whole path across the map is now hidden, and you don't know exactly where they are, and that information can stop the other team from actually going for a gank or a fight, because all of a sudden this extra person you now don't have any information on could show up.
Taking a quick look at Reflect on this, Sereth. He's at that 48% crit, now building to his lifesteal. So Sereth is starting to hit her power curve. She just is on that upward slope. And from here on out, Reflect is going to be a force to be reckoned with. If he's able to not be the primary engagement, if Leo Grande is the one who goes in first and the Reflect then after the fact, as well as Reflect isn't forced to use his Ascend to get into an engagement to isolate someone, That's an ideal situation for those Seraph players out there. That's exactly what Reborn as a whole and Reflect are going to be looking for, because he can tear through carries. Not in the same way that Feng Mao can. It requires a little bit more setup, but if you do get that setup and a 40-plus point Seraph gets completely unmitigated in a team fight, she's just sitting in the back line, your carries are going to be dead before you even have time to respond to it. Reflect in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to ascend away, and we might see some Raptors here from Team Finesse. To me, I'm asking, is this worth it at this stage of the game to go for the Raptors?
Well,
is it really
there's
worth
no
that
make
card
it rain.
experience?
There's no make it rain on the side of Soda Nazgul. We used it just before in the previous fight.
This is going to be an engagement. Leo Grande pulled away as he was engaging forward, maybe looking for a steal. The Stasis Gem on Soul Nazgul, and he's in a bad situation. He can't go for this guy. He's trying to do what he can. The Tesla Dome proficiency uses that to zone anyone out. And yeah, you called it, Jim. So without the make it rain, Soul Nazgul was a sitting duck, and it's a duck hunt for Team Finesse right now. Reflect is on the hunt for proficiency, but now he's recognizing the rest of his team's getting torn apart. The laser through the world. Strafe does pick up the kill on the NATO, but he gives up his own life. But Suki in the Reckoning, he's pretty low. You can't see his health, but he's actually very, very low right now. He's going to have to get away. 1-for-2 exchange and actually make it a 2-for-2. Reflect lived. Stasis Gem used. Oh, Leo, can he get the kill on Suki? There's no Reckoning. I'm not sure if he's going to have the damage, the obliterate. Oh, they both go down at the same time. That's a 3-for-3. That is as even of an engagement as one can possibly get. But I think the small victory for Reborn is that Reflect is still alive. Both carries on the side of Team Finesse were taken down.
3-for-3. Raptors, I believe, are still up as well. I think only one of them had been taken. And again, it's 13-13 kills on the board. Points are looking fairly equal as well. NATO's got slightly behind us, straight by 1 point. And Reflex is a few points behind Suki, but overall, we can't have a much closer game than this. 30 minutes into the game, we don't really see any sort of decisive lead by any team here. And it's still, every single fight's ended up the same way, where neither team is actually able to do anything after the fact of the fight.
So, I won't be surprised if Leo Grande picks up some of the ability armor after what just happened there. He has a good amount of basic armor, respectable amount of health between the Quenching Scale, the Sage's Ward, and the Thermal Bond. But I think ability armor might help him out a little bit, especially specifically against the Obliterate of Suki. They do have a respectable, we nailed it there, boys, amount of ability damage, not only from Suki, but also from Gadget as well. But nonetheless, I don't think that was the mitigating factor there. I think just Leo Grande wasn't expecting Suki to dish out at quite as much damage as you can. Revenant is still somewhat of a new hero, and people are still trying to get a 100% full grasp understanding of that hero's limitations and what he's able to do. And very clearly, you see what happened. Revenant in a 1v1 situation, even if he's at 15% health against a Sevarog on top of your head, at least he can take you down with him. Both these teams back healthy, alive. We see Suki in the left lane, just farming, but more importantly, looking to set this wave. Raptors are here. And I believe that they might give him to Reflect. Reflect's going to be able to pick up one. He's at 44 card points. NATO picks up another. And Reborn's going to be able to get this cleanly.
On the other side of the map...
Oh, how low is it?
The prime actually starting happening right now.
They know about it.
It's just been started, but will they make it in time?
Leo, I mean, they pick it up. There's the thunk. Are they going to fight or are they going to disengage? That is a trade that is going to be Team Finesse all day. Set the waves and look for a push. Team Finesse have a big power play coming up here, ladies and gentlemen.
They managed to secure Prime. They did the play. I believe I spoke about this in the last PCL, which we casted.
You did, yes. You did very much. The EU, yeah.
When you see one team going for the Raptors, Prime's free for the taking, especially if you have vision control, and you can see the rotations coming out. You can just go for it, and it's exactly what we see Team Finesse do. They grab the Prime and trade it for the Raptors, and now it's going to be a matter of how much can they actually take with this Prime. How many towers can we see an inhib being taken here, and can they use that to now get the advantage we've been looking for throughout this entire game?
When it comes down to it, Paragon and MOBAs as a whole is a battle of information and trying to make as informed of a decision as you can with the information that you have. And that information that was restricted from Reborn is that the Orb Prime was being taken. That's what enabled it to do it. Oh, Strafe might be in some trouble here, man. Elsewhere on the field, we do see actually it was Chill, Phil, and Proficiency were able to catch out Solo Nazgul. Reborn need to get an even trade here, and they're not going to be able to. Strafe was in a very awkward position, but Lucier was there. does what he needs to do to keep Strafe alive. And now it's a 5v4 favoring Team Finesse with the Orb Prime card activated. And this right lane is going to be where they make their stand. Taking a look at the other lanes here, mid lane is pushed out against them, but we do see Reborn just set that wave back into their favor. So they're not going to have to worry about that. And left lane is pretty much at the line of scrimmage at this point. But the inhibitor right down to half HP. Chufil's just sitting there taking it. Leo looks for a subjugate, not going to be there. He gets thunked up. Tesla Dome used, but they're just trying to retreat. Reborn's in full retreat right now. They have to get themselves up. Chufil goes forward. The sticky bomb. Is the bleed enough? Nope. Reversal of Fortune is forced out, but all the meanwhile, that leaves Leo Grande completely susceptible to getting taken out. That's exactly what happens. Inhibitor goes down, 2 kills. Both of the carries are still alive here for Team Finesse. Is this it? Is this the moment that they have been waiting for? We have not seen Suki and Phil win an event in almost over a year. They're going to be looking for it. NATO gets taken out. There's no Twin Blast. But Strafe was taken out from Reflect. Reflect has to live. They have to keep Reflect alive, and Reflect has to take down Suki. Are they going to be able to? Master Splinter's trying to do what he can, but Amiru can only do so much. With Nazgul back online, with the Make It Rain and the Landmine, it looks like they are going to be able to hold the core. Team Finesse were on the brink of winning Paragon Competitive League, but Reborn hold. We know Reborn has what it takes to bring this game back to him, but it's a long road ahead of here, Gems.
It was looking really close. I mean, the fact that Strafe ended up falling down kind of stopped a lot of the aggression here and didn't allow them to take the core. However, Prime has now also run out, and we're probably going to go back to this sort of stage where neither team is going to risk taking an engagement. However, if we see Finesse use the sort of minion wave management that we've been seeing in the last couple of games, they should be able to secure the last couple of tier 2 towers with fair ease. If they just set up the push in mid and then rotate to the Raptor side, they can take that tier 2 with 2 lanes pushing in the side of Reborn, and that's going to be pretty tricky for them to deal with.
Taking a look at these numbers here, Suki has actually caught up ahead of Strafe. That bounty mechanism on Revenant where you get that extra, I think it's 600 card experience, 800 card experience.
It goes up by level. I think it starts up at, I think it goes up to 1,000.
But that mechanic for Suki has enabled him to pretty much even match Strafe when he was at one point, I think, 5 to 6 card points behind that of Strafe. You know, it's always a good state of the game when the 2 carries on your team are the one battling over farm and not necessarily against your opponent. Reflect, there's no Ascend. This isn't good. He's going to use the Heaven's Fury to get some lifesteal, but he's just going to get caught out again. Paragon is a battle of information. Reflect did not have the information that Team Finesse was rotating over that way. By the time he was able to see it, it was just that one ward over by the buff, but it was simply too late. The speed boost from Lucer, the Thunk landed, and now they're going to try to do some split push action. Right lane is being dealt with by Solo Nazgul, but this is going to be a very difficult hold. Reflect is the secondary carry for Reborn, and he's off the field.
This is the push I was talking about, where you have someone forced to deal with that lane, and then you have mid pushing in favor, and then you also have time to just take this tier 2 for free. It's incredibly difficult for Reborn to actually deal with this because of the way the minions are moving. Yes, mid lane's down against them, but it's looking fine here for them.
Yo, Grande's got to be careful. The smash and grab is there. Tesla Dome goes down as well. Is he going to be able to get out? I don't know. He does get taken out. So now it's a 5v3 power play. Lucer uses the Stasis Gem to avoid the last barrage from Make It Rain. And he's going to be able to get away. Resetting, waiting for the next wave. Team Finesse continue to display the required patience. No, long armor the law misses. Even if it did hit, wouldn't have been enough for a kill. I think just trying to make Solo Nazgul very hesitant. And here comes the push. It's only 1 creep at this point in time. And we do see that they're actually playing a little bit timid, despite the fact that it's a 5v3. They're judging maybe want to retreat. They are. They're actually retreating here. And they're just backing.
Yeah, it's looking like they chose to recall this point. Chill feels a bit too low. They could have carried on pushing it because the super minions are actually pushing down this other side of the map, which would have forced a 4v4 potentially. But again, they don't need to risk it. They can just go and take Raptors and give it to the guys who need a little bit more power. So Proficiency and Chillfill can take it for themselves as well. Even give it to Luzer on the Narbash, give him a little bit of extra points, give him that survivability.
Yeah.
From the Raptors is always going to be beneficial. You don't necessarily need to force the situation just yet. Your carry's at 60, whereas Reborn's one's nearly there, not there just yet, so you have a slight already on the board for that.
Stasis Gem for Suki. None for Chill Phil. Stasis Gem for Proficiency. Stasis Gem for Lucer. Other side of the field, Stasis Gem for Master Splinter. Stasis Gem for Soul Nazgul.
However, Nader doesn't have any right now. He's relying on the blink shot right now for the aggressive plays where he can get a kill, then blink, and then consistently blink after each kill. Make sure that Reborn can't get away in those scenarios where they're trying to retreat, which I quite like. And you've seen him use it a couple of times where he'll blink, get a kill, and try blink again, try chase them, and make sure they don't get away. And so they can try to secure a more favorable fight. However, Prime is also spawning in the next couple of seconds, and we saw the impact the last Prime had on the game, and it gave such a huge advantage over to Finesse. Whether or not they can secure it again is actually going to be up for contention, because we still have things like Solo Nazgul around who has Make It Rain right across the Prime pit, and that can actually be impactful. But he's on the other side of the map right now, and Finesse are already at Prime as it spawns.
Reflect is encroaching 60-point territory, but he's at his piece just about. His power curve circuit's really low. He's going to be careful. They might have to use the Reckoning. Okay, the Stasis Gem will be utilized to avoid the damage from the Sticky Bomb. That'll put him into a very awkward situation HP-wise. He does have lifesteal, so he's going to fall back. That's exactly what he's doing. He's not doing this to get farm. He's doing this to lifesteal to get himself topped up is what he's doing right there. Both teams deciding to engage, neither of them committing, though. As you now see, Leo Grande and the rest of Reborn are the ones who currently are holding down and zoning out for NATO. NATO can 1v1 this, green buff or not. And it's going to be all, can they penetrate through the front line of Leo Grande? He has to be careful. Chillfield just takes him down to his death. No Severog online. The challenge of the Warlord hits too. Master Splinter is trying to do what he can, but he gets knocked up in the sky. He's forced to use the Stasis Gem. No shields for Master Splinter coming out. That's okay. They're saying, don't worry about it. No shields are coming in. Strafe pops up and through the air. Hits him with that auto attack, but Reflect comes over with the big damage and the lifesteal, and he's able to get a kill, but he's the only slip. Oh, he needs Heaven's Fury. Can he do it with the lifesteal? Heaven's Fury is down. He takes him out, but Chillfield and Proficiency are still alive. So very close, but Reflect taking out both of the range carries. Could that be enough for them to stay in this game? J. Leo Grande is going to be up in 20 seconds. Will Chillfield and Proficiency have enough health to push down this core? Judging by the minimap, they need the creep. This is going to be so close for them. 15 seconds for Leo Grande before he gets back on the field. The Chord's at about 95% HP. It's only one inhibitor. Chillfield's very, very low. They have to respect the damage going out here. It's going to be the creep. Are the creep going to be the MVP? Core going down to 15%. 8 seconds, 3 seconds rather. Chillfield's going to die. I think the creep are going to do it. Are the creep going to be able to win the game? It is! Ladies and gentlemen, Team Finesse by the skin of their teeth pull out a victory. Reflect tried to do what he could. He killed both the carries at the last minute, but the creep, the mega creep in the side lane, and Chillfield with his last dying breath said, I have conquered. It's not 2016. Team Finesse take Paragon Competitive League number 8.
Wow. Congratulations to Team Finesse. We've been seeing them throughout the entire tournament playing at such a strong level, and now they've come fighting 2-0 against Team Reborn, and that last fight was looking really close to both sides. You can see the low health on Chillfield. And Proficiency at the end, but the creeps from the previous inhibitor that they had was enough to then take the core and take that victory as well.
How many times have I said it? Who are the MVP? The creeps. The creeps are always the MVP, chat. Undeniably. The creeps are the MVP. I wasn't even playing and I'm shaking watching that game. Team Finesse. What a story. You have two members of a former dominant team this time last year of Triangle Formation. For those of you who are new to the competitive scene, from a period of about April, I say maybe to like June or July of 2016, Triangle Formation was winning all of the events that we were doing at the time named Agora's Rising in a very dominating fashion, with one exception where an EU team won. And Chillfield and Suki were both members of that team. And then they sort of really haven't been able to put up much results since, 10, 12 months ago. And then you have members Strafe, Proficiency, Lucer. They were on a team named Rat Pack, who were always kind of going in and out of roster changes and whatnot, which is a standard thing with a game in a current state like Paragon. But Rat Pack was never really able to win a finals. I think they made it to a finals maybe once or twice, but they weren't ever able to sit on top of that pedestal of the #1 and get that gold medal. And you had two teams who were always on the brink of winning winning a tournament, came together, and lo and behold, they found the missing link, their gems, and are able to take 2 games off of Reborn. It's not like Reborn didn't play well. Those games both were incredibly close.
And on that note,